Hi there fabric jugglers, it's Babs here from MyFieryPhoenix, and today I'm recording in my craft cabin, and it's not quite as pretty as I would like it to be, so I've got a backdrop for today, and depending on how long it takes me to prettify the cabin, you may see quite a few different backdrops over the coming episodes. But for today, I'm going to be talking to you about the best ways, if you are starting out, to build your stash for free or for very little expenditure. So how to keep your costs down whilst you're playing around and working out whether you really do want to spend a lot more money on fabric. Fabric can be ridiculously expensive if you don't already understand that. £7 a metre for some good quality cotton is a good average price, and it can go up from that point on. You can spend over £20 a metre depending on the type of fabric that you're looking for. So rather than saying shoot out, buy loads of expensive stuff and then find that you don't actually truly love sewing, what I'm giving you today are some top tips on how to build your stash in a thrifty fashion. So stick around and I'll tell you some more. I've got two levels of information really for you today. One is for projects that you're going to be working on yourself that doesn't really matter about necessarily the quality or origin of the fabric. So projects that you'll be making with your kids, upcycling projects, bags, bedding, things for your dogs and cats, and decorative items that are going to go around the home. All of those can be made from the first half of my suggestions. Anything that you're selling, anything that is being made for children or babies should absolutely be brand new. And I've got some suggestions for thrifty ways of sourcing fabric and materials for brand new items, and they're in the second section of my tips. But basically, if you're selling it or making it for babies or toddlers, then you absolutely should be using brand new products. Don't be reusing other people's stuff that's been in the bottom of a bag for 6 months and you've got no idea of the history of it. And that includes children's toys. There's all sorts of restrictions, limitations with children's toys that you need to be aware of. So that's a whole separate tutorial. But for now, just make sure that you don't use any of my first set of suggestions if you're going to be making anything for babies, toddlers or toys, or if you're reselling it, because that's a bit of a no-no, unless you're telling people that it's upcycled. Now, the first place that you can look for free fabric is your own home. That might sound a bit bizarre, but if you have got curtains that you no longer need, if you've got a bedroom or a living room that you've redecorated, you've got curtains, you've got cushions, you've got rugs, you've got throws, blankets, possibly duvet sets, so you've got really big swatches and swathes of material that you may not even have thought about if you've completely redecorated recently, or even not so recently but you've hoarded. But that's fabric that you can take, cut up, slice and dice and then reuse. You've also got shirts and clothes that your kids have grown out of. Anything that's too tatty, unless you're going to be making scrap quilts with it, then it probably wouldn't be too suitable for making a project. But if you're making little stuffed animals for decorations or Christmas decorations, then small pieces of clothing and pillowcases will work perfectly. In fact, there's a whole tutorial on pillowcase dresses where you can make a toddler dress from a pillowcase very, very simply, and I've got a separate tutorial for that somewhere. It hasn't been published yet, but it's coming soon. So there's some really obvious stuff around your house. If you want to know how to get the most material out of a shirt, like a man's shirt or a boy's shirt, then I do have a tutorial on that, 10 minutes, and you can get yourself a great stack of fabric out of a shirt. It all looks rather confusing, but rather than just cutting something out of the centre of it and then binning the rest, I'll show you how to debone the entire shirt in 10 minutes and get just a ton of reusable fabric. Which you can just pop to one side, and it's so much easier to store than a bundled up shirt. So that's from around your home. Now, if you don't object, or if you've got some close friends or family and you don't object asking them, you could ask them for any of the things that I've just mentioned, the curtains, the cushions, all of that kind of thing. But I find with my kids at infant school and then junior school, there were a lot of parents who were swapping clothes around, second-hand, hardly touched. Little kids get so many clothes bought for them, and they just don't get the opportunity to wear them all. So there is, I find, masses of really good quality second-hand clothes, either doing the rounds or for a very small amount of money you can pick them up from other mums. So that's something that you could take a look at. Don't forget your charity shops, and I'm not just saying go in and buy the duvet covers, the bed sheets, the curtains, the clothes. Obviously you can buy all of those things and then reuse them in the same way as everything I've just mentioned. But what I tend to do is, or I have done in the past when I was desperate for fabric, I would speak to the charity shop owners, and they have bags and bags and bags of stuff. And if you don't object to going through bags and bags and bags of stuff for test materials and whatnot, anything with a stain, anything with a tear is not going to be put out on the shop for sale, on the shop floor for sale. So if you don't object to looking through bags of clothing or bags of bedding, then go for it. I found that the actual charities themselves are just happy to take any donation that you give, and you can go away with bags and bags and bags of things. So if you're going to be cutting everything up anyway, a slight tear or a jam stain or oil on a sleeve isn't really going to bother you too much. Now, some people will be horrified at that prospect, in which case, don't do it. That's fine. But other people who just don't have any funds and really need some fabric from somewhere, you go buy that, you go home, you wash it, you clean it, and then you cut around the gaps and stains, and it's not a problem. So, as I say, these suggestions at the beginning are not for items that you would be selling. I think it's really cheeky to go and get free fabric and then sell it on as a brand new item. Now, if you're saying that it's an upcycled item and you're making a big selling point of upcycling, then fine, that works beautifully. But don't create a child's toy out of some stuff you've pulled out of the bottom of a bag that was too poor quality to be put on a charity shop floor. I think that's completely outrageous, and you should not be doing that. However, charity shops can still be wonderful, wonderful sources of brand new material. And I'm not talking about curtains that you can then reuse or duvet covers. I'm talking about brand new, on-the-bolt fabric. Have a chat. Really schmooze your local charity managers and find out if they get their stock from X lines of fabric. I mean, there are quite a few local to us where they sell by the bolt fabric, and instead of £7 full cottons, you can get them for under £1 a metre. There was a really gorgeous turquoise slub silk recently, and that was £10 for a 10 metre bolt of this fabric, and they took a metre off. Someone came in and just wanted a metre of fabric. They didn't want the whole bolt, they wanted 1 metre. So they put the rest of the bolt out for £7.23. 23, I don't know why they got the 23, but £7.23 for 9 metres of soft silk fabric. That is just amazing. So have a look. You can find brand new fabrics, unused, on the bolt, which would be perfect for any project, for adults, for children, for sale, for gifts. And that is not cheeky. That is thrifty. That is making the most of the facilities available to you. So that is good financial wisdom, to my mind. Taking it out of the bag taking out the bottom of the bag, that's just manky. Buying quality new product for excellent pricing and helping out charity at the same time, that's a bonus. That's win-win all round. And not only can you get fabrics, but you can get notions, you can get patterns, you can get threads and cottons, needles, all sorts. I picked up these patterns for 20 pence a pack, 20 pence for each one, and you know, while some of them are quite old, some of them are quite lovely too. And whilst this is very, very 70s, I wouldn't necessarily make the long version, but I think the shorter version with some current fabrics and patterns would be really lovely. This is very 80s, and again, I think this with current fabrics would be gorgeous. We've got some lovely 40s looking things. Let's see if I can find them. I'll put there. Oh, I can't find it. Where's it gone? Oh, yeah. This one, I think, is if you ignore the 70s shoes, I think this is a really lovely pattern for a dress, for a summer dress. And again, here, something which my daughter would love to wear. And however old this is originally, 1974, this is as old as me, guys. This pattern is the same age as me. And originally it was 50p and I bought it for 20. So whilst this is a very old-fashioned style, again, if you make it with current fabrics, I think it would be absolutely stunning. And I have to share this one with you purely because I cannot believe they put this image on the front of it. I mean, seriously, guys, what were you thinking? And I love the fact that it says pants not included. Really? However, my daughter can never find a dressing gown that fits her. Whenever she needs one, whenever she's run out or killed her previous dressing gown, I can never find one. It's always the wrong season. And now, whilst the large adult version probably won't work, the, oh, so sexy legs, the small version probably would be able to be resized quite happily for her. And for 20p, I'll give it a go. I'll try it out. So yeah, you can get patterns. You can also pick up knitting supplies. So I got some knitting needles. I got a load of wool, all coming in, and they were new. So that was all handy. I regularly, now please don't fall out on the floor, pick up extra embroidery flosses and yarns, which I add to my rainbow stash here. I'm not so fussed about exact numbers and colours, designs, but when I'm using it, not for cross stitch, because then I am absolutely 100% focused on the correct names and numbers for each of the colours. But for other projects, I just need random colours, and they work very nicely. I also managed to pick up a selection of threads for my, oh, what's it called? I also managed to pick up a selection of threads for my serger, and again they came in at I think 40p for the lot. So you can really get some bargains, not only in fabrics but also in patterns, notions, for knitting, for crochet, for sewing, all sorts of lovely fabric wonderfulness. And you can top up your jars of buttons. And again, I found some lovely wooden buttons, and I don't know whether you can see those, but I'll pop them into a picture somewhere for you. Lovely buttons for next to nothing. So definitely have a look around and talk to your charity shop owners, managers, the staff in there. Just schmooze them and see if you can find out when they're likely to get stuff in. If you're very keen, you can give them your contact details, and as soon as they get in bolts of fabric, they'll give you a shout and you can have first refusal, which is a wonderful position to be in if what you're after is just a nice steady supply of random fabrics that are good quality. That is an excellent source for them. Of course, the other option that you do have is keeping an eye out for close downs, for going out of business sales, which is rather sad. Obviously, I'd rather have a lot of fabric shops out and about there for us to use and to go in and check and keep competition on prices healthy. But sadly, a truth of life these days, business life these days, is businesses do go under. And when that happens, you can find yourself with a wealth of affordable fabrics. Not as cheap as in the charity shops, but still not full price. So it's always worth taking a look at those and supporting the businesses even in their last moments, because it's better than just having it go to landfill. Now, if you've got any other suggestions for ways of being thrifty with sourcing your fabrics, your patterns, your notions, then pop those in the comments below. I'm always up for finding out more information, and one of the great things about the Fabric Jugglers community is that we all share and help each other learn. Now, I have videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which if you've been here before, you will know. If you haven't been here before, hello, welcome. I'm glad you found your way here. We also have behind-the-scenes work-in-progress videos of vlogs on Wednesdays. And if any of that sounds of interest to you and you're not already a subscriber, click on the logo, which is somewhere around the screen, or on the big red button to subscribe. And hopefully I will see you again soon. Bye for now.